My name is Jesse Buetow. I teach at Randolph Heights Elementary in St. Paul, Minnesota. I've been a teacher for 13 years. I teach a 4-5 combined class, so a split grade class. I've been using Schoology now for really 2 years solidly. This is my second year using Schoology. I have been named the Minnesota CBS Digital Innovator for 2016 and an Apple Distinguished Educator in 2017. So this work that I've been doing has really been important, and Schoology has been a big piece of that for this last year in moving my class forward in a digital way. So I had in my head for a while the idea of trying to turn the math curriculum over to my students and figure out a way. Our district has broken all the standards into specific learning. We have specific learning targets, and then we have assessments for each of those learning targets. And I've been playing with the idea of how can I get my students to independently kind of choose where they want to go, and say, I'm going to study this geometric learning target. I'm going to become a master at it, and then I'm going to take an assessment on it. So how can I create content that the students can work on by themselves, and then how do I get that assessment to them in an easy way? So I jumped in and I started putting everything in Schoology. I started to use Schoology sort of as the backbone of my math time. So Schoology was the place where the kids would go. Everything would be organized for them. They would be able to find it easily, work on it easily. It may take them to other places, but we always return to Schoology as sort of the home base, the home space.
Like a central hub.
Exactly. I really look at it as like the skeleton of what I do. Other things, maybe the muscle, maybe the thing that they actually are working in, but that skeleton, that piece that holds everything together is what Schoology does for me. I sort of abandoned the idea of that complete voice and choice and letting them choose whatever they wanted to do, and instead it became a self-paced scope and sequence. So there's a prescribed sequence of the units, but the kids are able to go through it at any pace that they want. So I've got students who go really quickly through units, and I've got kids who need a little bit more time and work much more slowly, and they can work at their pace. And so what that's freed me up to do is give my those kids who kind of get it, or it comes to them easily, it gives them something to do, something to work on. And it frees me up then to work with those students who are struggling and really devote my time to working with those students. So I've got 4th grade units, 5th grade units. I've got some 6th grade units at the end of the year once we pass our tests, or for kids who have moved on really fast and finished all of 5th grade. I've got a few 6th grade standards as well. If we go into one of them, you'll see that they're broken down. I broke them down by unit. And this is different than the way our district has broken them down. I instead took them and broke them down in unit that corresponds with the learning target for the state standard. So within a unit, I try to organize it into consistent pieces. I always start with an overview, so a page that just sort of describes what it is I'm looking for. There may be some instruction in here. I try to keep it text light because I know my students tend not to read the text when it's in front of them. In fact, sometimes I'll put little Easter eggs into my text and say at the end of a paragraph, I'll say, if you read this paragraph, come find me and I'll give you something. And I usually get 1 or 2 students per time who actually come and say, oh, I read that sentence. So knowing that, I try to keep it image heavy, and I try to use videos whenever possible because that's really a good way for me to explain. So in this one, I just have some pictures and saying, do you see the triangles in this picture? Oh wait, how now do you see the triangles in this picture? And then at the bottom, I always include what are the criteria that I'm looking for in this unit. I'm asking you to draw shapes, and I'm in this Schoology assignment, and then I'm asking you to create an artifact, that is, create a book that shows triangles both in the real world and on paper.
So it does sound like you've really embraced that transition from direct instruction to facilitation and coach.
Yep, I have not taught a whole group lesson in front of the class in 1.5 years. Well, I guess now 1 3/4 years. And instead, I'm doing small groups, I'm doing individual work, I'm moving around the classroom, assisting kids wherever they're at. And it's an amazing transition. It feels right. It feels really good. I feel much more involved in where they are on a daily basis, because I know where they are and I know what they're understanding and not understanding.
Have you noticed a shift in seeing students feeling more empowered as they've taken sort of a more hands-on role in their education compared to when it was more direct instruction?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Much more empowered. I mean, even just the idea that when they get stuck or they see that red dot over and over and over again, they come and find me. Whereas before they'd try to hide it, or they wouldn't care, or they just do it and not know. Now they know, I'm getting it wrong. I need to go find Mr. Buetow. I need to go get some help. This is my responsibility. What I have done, though, is tried to train my parents as much as possible to sort of check their child's progress in Schoology. I said the grades are up there. They will be up there for you to look at so that you can see if kids are making due dates, are they're done or not done.
What are some starting points? What are some things you can do to get started right away utilizing an LMS or utilizing Schoology at this level?
You know, it's got to be a small start. I'm going to pop this link into Schoology, and there you go, guys, and you're just going to go straight there. So something even as simple as that, the huge time saver and the huge hassle saver of pointing kids in a direction on a website is really amazing. Handing kids a PDF is really simple. Pop it into Schoology, say open it up, put it in Notability or some other, some other thing that works the same way, and you've got it. And from there, it's about starting to build small units, I'd say. Start with one unit that you want to build and put the instructions into Schoology. So start with just an assignment. Here, do this, take a picture of it, upload it back into the assignment. Just moving yourself slowly. The more you do, the more it really takes over. I started with math, and I've spent the last year and a half or more working almost nonstop on building these math units. It's been an incredible amount of work. But now that most of them are built and up and running, I don't have to do that again.
Right. Well, Jesse, I'm so thankful for your time today. I think that's one of the things I take away from is seeing, your students creating.
The thing that I try to do in my classroom is creation over consumption. It's not enough to have passive screen time. It's not enough for them to just be consuming media and consuming. If they're not creating, then they're not using the tools for what they're there for. We need to be teaching our kids to create. We need to be teaching them to use this media and these tools for the power that they are. And it's that creation that is going to create the learning and really seal that stuff in. I can give them a lot of problems to just do over and over and over again, but it's not until they have to explain it back to me, until they have to create something that shows that they really understand it, that it really sinks in and becomes real. So creation is the key.
I hope you read this book.